the music was based on the classical music, which is great for the instrument, but you needed something else to prepare students to become a working musician in any level, you know. So that has changed to some extent. There's more to do. I think there's more is needed, even at Yari at this point. But it has changed a lot since those days now.
Since back then.
Since back then. So that's why that was the drive to open our school.
Your school.
Yeah.
So how hard is it to open a school and be sustainable?
Very hard. So that's why we couldn't keep it. We struggled for 10 years. Yeah. Even the first 3 years we were charging students money. Even with charging money and making money, we couldn't even pay the rent, even charging money. So we decided it's not going to be sustainable. So we decided to open a club, which was the Jazamba Club, which made more money. So we used to take 500,000 or something like that every year from the club and give it to the school. Yeah. And we made the school free. After the first 3 years, we made it free for students. We tried to give talented musicians a chance to go for free. So we used to hold auditions and choose the best students that show promise and give them a free education. And we did that for 10 years.
That's a long time.
It's a long time, but we were happy. I mean, doing it, that was our goal. But we tried also to raise money during that time. The whole time we were trying to raise funds. It was very difficult.
To be able to sustain this.
Yeah, it was very difficult. We were lucky that Shaggar radio station gave us a space for free. Initially we were paying rent, but they saw our struggle and they said, you can have the place for free. And Awash, after the club burned down, the club used to support the school. The club burned down, and after the club burned down, Awash Wine Company heard about it, came, and for a year and a half or so, they supported us. They gave us the money to continue. Yeah. And after that, Italian Cultural Institute gave us a space to teach, but we couldn't pay the teachers. The teachers, we were coming from different parts of the town for free, drive all the way there, and teach the students for 3-4 years. We did that. We tried to do it as long as we could. But at one point, we couldn't continue. We couldn't find a space. The Cultural Institute wanted the space. They gave it to us, you know, for a year and a half, which is great. But they needed the space back, and we can't afford to rent a space. We can't afford to pay the teachers. We tried to do a lot of things. I mean, yeah, we went to the Ministry of Culture and told them what we do. They said, you guys are doing excellent stuff, teaching for free, doing stuff. We'll try to help you, but really nothing came out from anywhere. It was very difficult to get funds, primarily to find a space where we can teach and pay the teachers. And to make it sustainable, like you said, because we could do a show and beg and get some money for a short time, but you can't keep on doing that. People will get tired of also giving for free.
So how many students have graduated from your school in the 10 years?
Typically we had 15 to 20 something students every year. So we did that for 10 years, so you can imagine.
Wow.
So the first 3 years, we didn't have, it's a 3-year diploma program. So after the first 3 years, we didn't have anybody graduating, but after maybe for 6-7 years, times 14, 12 students, times every year for 7 years, something like that.
So, because like you said, you would do auditions, and the students that you would actually take into your school are students from high school, right? From high school. These are kids that have never really been in music.
Some of them have some personal experiences in music.
Exactly.
We're trying to take, we have limited capacity.
Yeah.
You know, we can't take everybody. We have certain number of instruments, certain number of chairs, desks in the class. So we have a limited number. So a lot of people came. When we have to give them a crash course and see potential, and also some of them who can already show some talent, we gave them a chance. You know, so we can't take everybody. So we had to audition and see, give the students that show chance and passion and are serious about becoming a musician. You know.
So it's really sad. That's why I'm actually staying on this subject, because you saw a need, and you took that, and you started educating musicians.
Not only that, it was a great program.
Yeah.
We were using the Berkeley curriculum mostly and tried to adapt it to our country. And we had few students that came from Yari after they graduated. Few students that came from seminary.
Wow.
We had students from abroad, from Kenya, from Zimbabwe, that came to Ethiopia, moved, rented a house to go to the school.
Exactly, to go to the school.
There's a big need, not only here. I've traveled in Africa, especially East Africa. I've been to 4 places. And I mean, this was the best school, I would say. I mean, not because it's our school, but at that time. It was,
From what you saw?
It could have been a school for the whole Africa.
Exactly.
Because everybody needed to go to a school like that.
Yeah.
It had a really great potential, but it was very difficult to continue.
So what is it that you need, or what is it? The reason why I'm saying is I'm hoping somebody out there would be listening to this program and say, oh my God, the school is closed now. You know what I mean? So if you wanted to bring it back, what is it that you need?
Major thing is a space. Yeah. That's the major thing, because you know how houses are expensive.
Exactly.
In Addis Ababa, that's the major expense. We have to find a space where we can teach. That's a major expense. After that, the next thing is all the logistics, starting from the salaries of the teachers, because teachers were really teaching for free. We were doing it. I really thank the teachers for all the time that they did it for free. You know, they didn't even have money for gas. They drove. Some of them come from Hayat, places like that. You know, driving every day. They're coming and doing that. So that's the next thing, the logistics. Not only the salary for the teachers, instruments. We even got instruments at one point from Germany, but we couldn't use it. The school was closed by then, so we had to donate it to another. For a while, we have to lend it to another school. Yeah. So and after that, we are all busy teaching. We're teachers basically, so we needed a finance and a person with experience in fundraising. Somebody can do the business side of it. We needed somebody to do that. The business side. We were not good at that.
You were all.
We don't have any experience. We're musicians and just teachers. So we needed that department. Somebody who could do that. It's a full-time job too. Yeah, and to raise funds, as you know, it is very difficult in any situation. You know. You can only beg so much. You know.
I know,
you can't
it gets
beg every
tiring
year.
after a while.
People start getting tired of it. You keep on calling them. At one point, they get tired. You have to find a way to sustain it.
I would think, it's not only that I would think, it is. I would think it would be a brilliant idea it would have been for you and Yari School to somehow be able to work together, or even in by the government, if they knew that you are up and running, some kind of support should have come from that, or did it at all?
Would have been not really. I mean, we've been to some offices trying to get some help, and they were all encouraging, but nothing really came out of it. And then they said, you guys are doing a great job, you know. At one point, like I told you, we were even sending our students to public schools.
Exactly. So
to teach the youngsters for free as a volunteer. So we're doing also that. But it was very difficult. And during that time also, I was also teaching at seminary in Yari. There was a time I was teaching at 3 schools, not only my school.
Not only your school.
I was also teaching at the other schools also, at the same time. But at one point, it was too much. Yes.
Yeah. I hope you will reopen the school and somehow continue, because I think we need.
We hope at one point it happens, but for now, it looks like it's difficult. We still have to face those same problems we had.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the government's help would mean
really
a lot.
Yeah,
especially in a space.
At least a space, yeah.
Exactly.
One of those old houses that are around town. If we can find something like that will then the rest may be workable, you know.
Yeah. But it shows passion from your teachers. For them, that means they enjoyed and they loved what they do.
They really believed in it. I mean, they really drove from distances, you know, to come to the school and teach for those years. We were teaching for free. And students were going to school for free. Teachers were not paid. And they all had also other jobs. So they were finding spaces and time to come. And so they did well.
So now you teach at Yari School.
I teach at Yari primarily. That's where I teach now.
Yeah. So tell me about Yari. Do you think Yari has reached its potential, Yari Music School, or could it reach its potential if it hasn't reached its
potential? Yari has been around for 54 years, something like that. And it has changed a lot. through the years that I've been here, living here, and it's becoming better and better every time. I think, especially for the students, there's more chance now that there's a jazz department open, and that helps the students. But it's not; it has not reached its potential. I think it could do much more. As the only university, I mean, major. It's not the only. Right now, there's about 8 other music schools, other universities. Wallo, Bahardar,
oh yes,
Walkite, you know, those places, but they're all under the university.
Okay.
But the major one, the older one, the more experienced one is Yari. So as I think it could do much more, and hopefully it will do much more. Now, right now, this university, Addis Ababa University, is trying to get autonomy, so it to get its own thing. So it has its own challenge also. Yari has challenges also as an entity, but I think they can, or we can do much more. We can do much more in terms of curriculum. We can still have to revise. I feel like the major job of the school will be to make students ready for life after school. I think that's the job, right?
The major,
so we have to look at what are the jobs available. I always say that there are 3 major jobs available as a musician here in Ethiopia at this point.
Yeah.
One is playing gigs, becoming a working musician. The other is teaching. The third one is studio work. Those are the 3 areas. You can be a music critic and stuff, but that's kind of rare. You know, Sarsa has done it, find his own way, but there aren't that many who are doing that. But you could do other stuff also, but these are the 3 major jobs that are waiting for you. So I think Yari has to look at its curriculum closely to prepare students for these 3 major jobs. That's what I feel like it's a practical way of teaching. So that when students come out, they can be ready for these 3 jobs. They will be ready, you know, develop their skills, and also know how to do those 3 things. So we should open an engineering and arranging class should be more expanded. There should be a studio, which Yari is trying to do, and teach students how to do engineering and stuff. And also pedagogy, maybe teaching also, give them some courses as a teacher, how to teach music. Yeah. So the 3 areas, we should work on more on that, I think.
Concentrating on those.
Yeah, I think so.
So now we're going to go to the Acacia Jazz Festival. It's the same question, why and when, or when and why did you think it was important to start Acacia Jazz Festival?
So basically what we're trying to do is Katsu. I mean, we're trying to do everything we can around music.
Right.
So we started a school, and we were playing already in town, so playing is always there. Then teaching, and then we opened a club that had 7 nights a week, different bands, mostly jazz and some Ethiopian music also, and everything what goes on. It's like just live act.
Exactly.
But with the proper venue. The idea we had behind the venue was a place where people, the focus will be the stage. There will be a stage, dressing room at the back, and people will sit down and face the stage, and the focus is the stage. No, it's not, the music's not the background.
Right.
For people to socialize, you know. The focus was on the stage. So we did that. It went for 5 years. Was challenging. Was very expensive to run the club. Every night having a live band, but we did that also. And then the next logical step for us was, what else can we do around music? How about, okay, the club scene is for adults mostly, people who can go out at night and see the jazz club. How about for people with families and children during the day, to in a lawn area where they can sit down, have a picnic, and listen to music. So that is a festival. That's how the festival idea came. And we've seen a lot of festivals and played on a lot of festivals around the world. So we've seen a lot of festivals like that. So Tropical Garden was an excellent venue. That's where we gave. For 5 years we also did the Acacia Jazz Festival. And we tried to make it an international festival, not only for musicians from here, but from all over the world to come. And we had help from cultural institutes, you know, Italian, Spain, American Embassy, and German. All these cultural institutes were helping us to bring bands, expense-wise, you know. So we brought bands from Europe, even from the States, and also had bands from locally, from here. And we always had a legendary singer from Ethiopia. It could be Mahmoud, It could be, at one point there was 32 or anybody. I mean, so we tried to mix it. And also younger bands also here that are playing here, Ethio jazz music. We tried to mix them also on the scene. So we tried to make it international.
Right.
And the atmosphere was great, but the same challenge. We did it for 5 years. We hardly made any money. We were broke, in fact, for a year or two. We had to take out of our money. You know, it was very difficult to get sponsorship for these festivals. And we had big names. That's the funny thing. We had big names, but still very difficult with the big names like Mahmoud and a lot of acts from, we had 3 or 4 different acts from abroad.
Exactly.
And it was a nice atmosphere. You know.
It was a beautiful atmosphere.
Yeah, it was really great. Yeah, I miss it too. It was really great, but again, it was very difficult. I mean, it took us about 5 to 6 months to organize the. We always meet about 6 months before the festival, and we all go different places. Me and Groom, we either go to American embassy, somebody will go to Spain embassy, talk to them every year. We have to do that, get the venue ready, and then all the other logistics, the ticket, all that. You know, a lot of stuff goes into preparation. So for 5, 6 months, we're working, meeting almost every week, organizing it, and finally it happens. And there's a good crowd, but at the end, financially, nothing could come out. It was very difficult to sustain it again. All these things are great stuff, but sometimes I think maybe they should be organized by the city. I mean, if Addis Ababa city can organize the festival, then they could have major contacts. They can bring people. Ethiopian Airlines will be involved because it's the government, and then they can bring expenses, are traveling costs, hotel costs to bring musicians from abroad. It's very difficult, but that's a problem not only for us. I mean, all over the world, festivals are dying down. There are the many festivals these days. Festivals like Busara in Zanzibar, we played there. I mean, the only way they could sustain it is people who come to that festival have to pay for their own way. And that's the only way it could go. I mean,
you mean for the bands?
The band has to take care of their own transportation. Transportation in hotel is the difficult, the most expensive thing for festivals, to bring all those bands to that festival. It's a lot of money. I mean, bring festivals like that, you know, or even our festival, bring 5, 6 bands. You have 5 or 6 people in each band.
One band is a whole ordeal.
Yeah, one band is like each person has to get a hotel room.
Thank you.
And the traveling cost,
expenses.
You know, it's all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is expensive. So
it is.
It's a really great cultural thing. In the long run, would have been really great. It could have become famous festival like Busara. People would come from all over the world, and it's good for the city.
If you go online and ask for festivals in Ethiopia, Acacia is always the first one that comes out. Just so you know.
Even now.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's been interrupted. Yeah.
Acacia is always there.
Yeah, we did it for 5 years. It was really. It had a potential of becoming.
It had a good name, obviously.
It had a potential of becoming really big, you know. But again, these things are difficult.
It is, and you know, and since I also do events, I know exactly what what you're talking about. So my next question is going to be, why do you think events in Addis are not sustainable? I mean, why do we even have these festivals to begin with? It's cultural exchange, right? So who are we benefiting? We're not benefiting ourselves. We're trying to benefit a country.
I think so. I think one of the ways, this is my opinion, one of the ways to make these things sustainable is if they're supported by the government. Like in Europe, government supports festivals. If that happens, then you will have great venues for free.
Exactly.
And then government, together with the airlines, can bring people from abroad. You know, a lot of things will be much easier.
Exactly.
You know, in that way, it's also good for the tourists. You know, once the festival become famous, tourists will come, and the government will make a lot of money. It will be a destination.
I've always thought those two actually go together.
Together, will become a destination.
Absolutely, and that's what we're trying to do. Because when you bring new artists or anybody to the country, you're showing off this country's potential.
Exactly, and I feel like that's again another area. The music education, the festivals, all the things go hand in hand.
They do.
I mean, they're all, and they need support from the government. I think,
because it cannot be sustainable because we're always going and begging for money. And the other thing that I also wanted to mention is usually, especially in your case, it was a lot of the Europeans that were supporting you.
Yes.
So where's Africa in this? Why aren't we supporting each other? Like if you at that point went to the Malian embassy and said, you know what, you did, right?
We did, yeah. They didn't have the budget, you know.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, we did to some African embassies.
That's what I'm talking
about. Yeah, but
about.
for me, that's also another big issue for me. I mean, it's starting from me myself. I'm not aware of a lot of African cultures and music. So that's, I was mentioning your program, which is really great because it's overwhelming. There's so much stuff in Africa. I don't know where to start. I know. You know, only the few major ones. You know, Yusundur, Salif Keita. You know, the
ones that are out
there.
The
big ones out there. Otherwise, it's too much stuff. It's overwhelming. You know, it's a lot of stuff. But I don't see cultural exchange among Africans.
Thank you.
I don't see any bands coming from West Africa to Addis Ababa or Ethiopian bands going to West Africa. We've done it on our own, but very rare. But you don't go, there's not enough cultural exchange in Africa, so we know each other. It's easier for bands to go to Europe or the States than go to another African country for some reason. So there's no cultural exchange. Have you seen? What do you think? I mean, there's
yeah, that's very true.
And also trade-wise, even trade-wise, we could sell each other commodities. Yeah. Well, I don't know why we don't do that. I mean, we're always importing or something. We're going for European or with the West. You know?
But I think now we're going to start. Even the meeting that just happened, the 36th. The African Union
I mean, there is something.
Summit.
There's also even, I think there's some commodity exchange also among Africans, but I don't think how far it's gone.
It hasn't gone that far.
Yeah.
It's easier for us to go to Europe, like you said, than it is to go to Kenya.
I think we should work on that because there's a lot of rich culture on this continent, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a lot of stuff. For some reason, it's also travel-wise also, it's more expensive to go to West Africa. It's
than
funny.
It is to Europe.
Than to go to Europe. It's funny. That's also... Yeah.
That's a major problem. I've had that conversation with a previous guest, and I've always found that really sad that we cannot even travel within the continent because of the expense.
Yeah.
So they have to do something.
I think that's to change.
They really,
we have to trade with each other.
Yes.
We have to
go visit each other.
Go visit each other, know each other's country more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we know more about other countries, more than Africa, you know?
Yeah.
So that's another issue.
As we're coming to the closure of our conversation, my second last question is, what is it that you miss from the West?
You know,
now that we're on
there's something that I miss. You know, I have a lot of friends still there and family. I go often, as much as I can, to sit there. There's certain things that I miss, like you know, of course, from the basic stuff of finding things, materials very easily. And like if I want to buy guitar strings as a musician, or
I think that's the next step for you is a music shop.
Exactly, music shop. Instrument, it's anything is available.
Absolutely.
Very cheap. So that's very difficult to find here.
Yeah.
You don't find it here. If you find it, it's going to be extremely expensive. I mean, to buy a drum set here in Addis, now it's over 200,000 birr. Because of the tax situation. That's another issue. That's a lot of the musical stuff that come here. Even books, music books, anything. If I want to find any book, I can find it easily online over there, and is anything here. Here it's difficult to find the books, and if you bring books, they're also taxed. They're not free. I mean, books should be at least educational books should be free. If not, you know,
I thought books were free.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
Books are free.
Are they?
They used to be.
I'm not sure, but for music books, you can't find it here. I mean, for some reason, or somebody's not bringing them. I don't know. I don't know if they're free. Stuff like that. Things that you want to find. Are very easy to find in the States. That are the things that I miss. The things that you miss the most. You don't find them here. You don't find them here.
If you asked me that question, one of the things that I miss from that world is free concerts.
Free concerts in the summertime. In the summertime.
We have a beautiful
Prospect Park summer stage. All those concerts.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't have it here.
We don't.
You don't have it.
I mean, granted, whenever I do events, my events are free because it's that exchange that I want.
You know, it ties to the topic we talked about.
Exactly.
Because all those free festivals that you're talking about are sponsored by the city.
Exactly.
Yeah, in New York City supports Summer Stage, Prospect Park. You know, they have
those are some of the big
festivals.
Stages.
Yeah, we played with us there on Summer Stage, on some of those festivals. So we need that here. will be great. I mean,
and we just built a beautiful park, as you can see.
We have a beautiful park with
Yes.
Venus, possible Venus, and our weather is most of the years like heaven. You know, I mean, we got the best weather, so you could have festivals almost all
the time.
All the
that
time.
was one thing that I have to be honest. When Friendship Park was finished, to me, that was every weekend a free concert in the park. That was what I was envisioning, and we could go all over.
Have you seen the venue in Toto Park?
I just stuck to one.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But we have more.
There's a beautiful amphitheater.
Yes.
With backstage and all that stuff. That could be. We could have venue every week at that place. We have a lot of potential.
We really do.
Not only that, the city can do, for example, the Bole Medanialam strip from the church, where all the restaurants are. You can close those on weekends. And restaurants can come out, have their they become vendors, and they'll have 2 or 3 bands, 2 or 3 stages, and we will block cars and walk only, and people can walk around eating food, different food, and listening to music. You could do that in Piazza. You could block section of parts in town, and will become pedestrians only, and you'll have a live band and food event, vendors. You could have a lot of stuff. You could really make it out.
We have the potential. We just don't have.
Another thing my wife told me, suggested, which is a great thing, is the Mescal Square.
Oh, yeah.
A Mescal Square is a big space, and the parking is a big space. It's not really being used. It's new. You could really utilize it. Another thing you could do is, what if you, every weekend, Saturday, on the Mescal Square, you'll have farmers market. And all farmers from all over will bring their own produce.
Thank you. That's
no
a brilliant
middle person. They sell it
idea.
for cheap. People walk around. You've seen farmers market everywhere.
Exactly,
all over the world.
And there's always music involved with farmers market.
Exactly. You'll have a live band always.
Exactly.
And people will sit down, and so you could do that. There's a lot of potential places.
And actually, Mescal Square now has started at night time. They have these car trucks.
But that's very small. They can make it a big space.
No, but you could just add on it.
Add on it, yeah.
Add on it.
It's a good start.
Exactly.
Yeah, but on the weekends, you can do it.
On weekend, you could grow on weeknights.
The whole thing could be a farmer's market. A lot of produce will come. People will go there with their kids, hang out, see bands, and buy fresh organic stuff. That's a lot of potential.
Yes, our potential is very high now that we have all these beautiful, wonderful parks around the city. And I hope they're listening to us, but somehow we all should see if we could make use out of them. It couldn't be just once a month or every other year. It needs to happen every single weekend.
I think so. I think there should be a committee by the government. There should be a committee just to work on this, to book different acts and different things available for the public. I think we should utilize it.
I think so too. So now that we have finished, my last question would be, any advice for our young generation that is, graduating in that, is going through your footsteps, is in the music world? What do you advise them?
Okay, the first thing that I would say is for youngsters to follow your passion. First, find your passion, know what it is, and go for it, because when you do something that you love, you do it wholeheartedly, you give it your all, and become good at it. If you're doing something just for the money to make a living, then it's a different story. So I will advise people to find their passion and go whatever it is, despite all difficulties, to go after it. Because I did it, I lived it, and I know it. So I do the same with my kids. So whatever passion they have, I'm going to nurture it. Even as parents, sometimes you want your kids to be secure, to find a good job. But even then, I know that I went through it, so I've learned from my life. So I will support them whatever they want to do in life, as long as it makes them happy and it's their passion. I'm going to be behind it. So I will advise the same to youngsters to do that. People who are in music and starting out, anywhere in the world, the art field has challenges, as you know. Because you don't have a regular paycheck. You have to do your own thing.
Exactly.
You have to hustle. You have to create your own income somehow. You have to create situations for you to be able to sustain. And also you have to do more than one thing. Some musicians only think of playing certain kind of music, and only that. The more you limit yourself to that, then your job opportunity will be much smaller, will be much narrower. So you have to do teach kids here, play in the evening in groups. Do 3 or 4 different things to sustain yourself, you know, to make a living and to. So you have to do that, and I'm doing that also right now. I'm doing teaching, playing, do whatever comes around. You know, you have to do weddings. Sometimes you have to do weddings.
Yeah, you guys don't have an ordinary life.
You might not like it, but sometimes you have to do it to make a living.
Exactly.
But we're very lucky. I mean, I'm very fortunate to be able to make a living doing what I love to do. And I think I would advise the same to any younger person who wants to do that.
Pursue that.
Yeah, yeah.
This is your Pan-African show called Afreeqa with your host Qatsalaworq Seifu. I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Katsu, for having me here.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.